Let's go. Line number 4. Mike, you're on the air. Oh.
Yes, good morning, Paddy. Good morning.
Good morning.
Paddy, I called about a story. Maybe you're aware of it. I think I read it last week. Where it was put out by a news story put out by the National Post. And it was concerning an audit that was done by the Auditor General of Canada, Karen Hogan. And it was pushed by the Conservatives, the audit was, and it was for, what's the government's program name on it? Sustainable Development Technology of Canada.
Yeah, people refer to it as the Green Slush Fund, I see all the time.
Exactly, thank you, Paddy, exactly. And there was a lot of disturbing news came out of from what I read, and there was millions and millions of taxpayers' dollars that were given out to companies, and this is by her report, of course, were given out to companies with connections and liberal insiders, and there was also millions of dollars given out to companies that never met the checklist of the program. So that's kind of disturbing news because, you know, that's the protection of taxpayers' money to meet the conditions and without any political connections or liberal insider connections. You know, I would assume that's what it is. But with that said and done, with this Green Slush Fund and the handing out of money, and after I read the story, and of course we got these wind energy projects on the table and that here, and no doubt they're involved in this Green Slush Fund, and it brings in the question, the money that's going to be handed out to these wind energy companies, and if there's liberal connections or it's being done cleanly and legally, and if they're meeting the conditions of this program, you know, and I guess kind of what it leads to for me, thinking about the big picture, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a change in government, and I'm wondering, will these projects be all revisited by the Conservatives, by Pierre Poilievre and possibly Tony Wakeham and stuff? Well, these projects, because this was driven by the Conservatives, of course, this audit, and we know that there was wrongdoings, even to the point that I read down to the news story on the National Post that there's a possible RCMP investigation coming on the table and stuff, and because it's serious mismanagement of taxpayers' money. So I wonder, because you know I'm not a fan of any of these projects, but will the Conservatives now, if we do have a change of government, I'm pretty sure that's coming down the pipes. I wonder, will the Conservatives, Paddy, maybe you can help me, you think they'll have to revisit these projects before any money is passed out because it was driven by that party?
It wasn't driven by the party. The Conservatives looked for an audit into that Sustainable Energy Fund, whatever it's called. Karen Hogan won't release the findings for some reason, which is a problem. She is obligated by law. If there has been any criminal malfeasance, she's obligated to turn it over to law enforcement. So I don't know what's going to become of it. I'd like to have a look at it, just like every other report that Karen Hogan has done as the Auditor General, whether that be Arrive, Can, or a variety of things that she's looked at. So I don't know why we can't get a look at this. I can't speak for the Conservatives in the future as to what they will or will not do, but we know that the feds at this moment in time have washed their hands of the wind projects here. They say there's no requirement for them to do it.
Sorry. And that brings up some other questions in that there too, because some of the key players and main drivers of these projects now have recently jumped ship. You know, Seamus O'Regan, who was the promoter and wanted to fast track this and and cut the political red tape and push it through because we're missing the ball on the world market and everything else. But he's moved clear of this now, and as recent Andrew Parsons, another key player, an extremely key player, and he was all of these people were in place when we lost 3.8 million hectares, and he's recently stepped down. And the kind of question,
we haven't lost all those hectares, though, Mike. I know you like to do that, but that's just not what's actually happened here.
Okay, I can send you the maps. That's not what's in use now. There's only 4 projects, and there's roughly around 2 million hectares. But the total land mass, and this is by Crown Lands, and I've got a letter gone off the Crown Lands to Tara Morgan, and I'm waiting for my response. And it's 3.8 million hectares. This is by Crown Lands that are allotted for wind energy projects. And that's by Crown Lands. And that's my question. It's all over It's all over Facebook. It's planted there, but there's 3.8 million hectares by government's own admittance, you know, and I've got a very
that number needs some context. The only proposal that has been released from its environmental assessment is World Energy GH2. Their land usage commitment at this point is 4,100 hectares. So I know that there has been an amount of land earmarked for potential, but only one project is actually even proceeding that we can tell at this moment in time. Well, Pattern Energy, but they're not using Crown land in their first phase. So 4,100 hectares is the World Energy GH2 footprint for their 164 wind turbines, which is the only thing that's been approved.
Yeah, and you know, I'm wondering where the Conservatives will be too on this, and I hope this all gets revisited and stuff in it there, and we actually get wind energy legislation put in place. But it's a serious matter that won't go away. And if you look at the boot, the Bjorn Peninsula, if you look at the map of the boot, it's truly disturbing what public land is left. These people are, the whole boot, the maps, and I don't know if I sent them to you, but I have all the maps in it there now from Crown Lands and stuff, and it's a huge amount of land. And I'm not sure, it's questionable yet that it was even taken legally from the public. And that's my question to Tara, I think it's Tara Morgan or something.
Okay, but now provincially the Conservatives have not opposed these projects.
No, they haven't. They've been quiet on it. And but which I'm really, really surprised, by the way. And who was I talking to? Oh, the Liberal. He's an environmental critic for the Conservatives. Pearson, what's his name? Anyway, I had a lengthy chat with him, and from what I got from him, the questions are starting to rise, and the bananas are falling off the tree. And I was on the phone with him for Fiercy, or I can't get his name now.
Cleeman Forsey.
Yeah, that's him. But we had a lengthy chat and a really good open discussion chat. And he said that's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming up in their agenda and possibly in the House of Assembly and stuff like that, because I guess they're feeling the heat from the people and the public outcry. So, but I really hope these projects are revisited with a clear head and.
But are you suggesting that hold on, Mike? Are you suggesting that you want the federal government to be involved in evaluating these projects?
Well, the federal government, along with the Conservative Party, especially if we have a change in government and everything gets revisited.
It was pretty straightforward. Do you want the federal government to be involved in approving or disallowing these projects?
Well, right now you're asking me if I want the Liberal federal government.
No, because if the government changes hands, it's still the federal government, regardless of the party. So you'd like to see the federal government get involved in approvals or not of these proposals?
Indeed, because I think their guidelines are a lot more robust than what we've got here on our environmental assessment group here in St. John's, and I think there will be a lot of questions come out, you know, and even some of the provinces like Alberta now they've taken it upon themselves. In BC, it's the same thing with these wind energy projects. They're developing their own legislation and own rules in the municipalities and stuff. Regards to distances, some of the stuff come up in Alberta, 30 kilometres, no pristine areas, no communities. These are all off the table.
But these are probably like Alberta and Ontario, two interesting case studies. First act by Ford was to axe all of these alternative energy programs. Same thing with Danielle Smith. Now both of them are going back to the well to develop these projects. I think in Alberta, the first phase, they're talking about 5,000 megawatts of wind and solar, which is remarkable with all the amount of time that's been lost here, even though the price of these types of projects have come back to worth a long way over the course of the last decade. Mike, I have to get to the news, but I appreciate your time. Or not the news, the break.
Okay. Thanks, Paddy.
Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.